flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Steve, would you read the vision statement, please?
Sure. Vision statement. The town of Ashland will be a prosperous and fiscally sound community with a full range of housing, business, cultural, educational, and recreational opportunities in a safe and attractive environment for residents and visitors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Yolanda, could you read the mission statement, please?
Sure. Mission statement. The Ashland Board of Selectmen is dedicated to promoting responsible fiscal management, advocating for sustainable development and growth, and providing excellent municipal services which will enhance the quality of life in our diverse community. The Ashland Board of Selectmen is committed to providing clear goals and objectives for town management and creating effective engagement and public participation with residents, state legislators, and other elected officials in order to achieve our mission.
Thank you, Yolanda. Okay, we're running a little bit late tonight, but we will have citizens' participation if we could try to keep it on track so that we can get back on schedule. Appreciate it.
Happy New Year. My name is Bill Gaff. I'm an honorary citizen, but I'm here tonight as chairman of the Ashland Day Committee. Some people call me an honorary citizen.
That's right.
We just recently had our holiday lighting the first Saturday in December, and this is the first year that we haven't had the Ashland Explorers Troop put up the lights. And through the good offices of the town manager, the DPW and Dave Foster put them up. It was a Herculean effort. I know very stressful for Dave, but they did an excellent
Took
job.
us right.
And we would like to thank them for the work that they did. We'd also like to thank Lucky Farms and Cobblestone's Landscaping for financially supporting us. We raffle off 5 bicycles, tickets are free. And we'd also like to thank Beth Reynolds, who tweaked the ceremony this year and made it even better. We appreciate the help of the Ashland Business Association, Needham Bank especially for setting up their bank for donuts and hot chocolate. Sunnyside Cafe for donating the hot chocolate. We'd like to thank in particular Jack LeDuc for doing the sound, Donna and Joe Mignani, Regina Gemma, Carrie Fabry, all those people that came together to make this a successful evening. We appreciate the town's support and hope that we can move on to have a good year in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill, and thank you for your work as well.
Catherine Jerzyk, 11 Rodman Road. I came to the meeting tonight because I wanted to ask the Board of Selectmen to consider implementing a process for public engagement. And I realize I kind of sometimes do read those visions too, and it's timely because it is in the vision. Our government at Ashland is based on a participatory democracy and, as you know, town meeting. So we have to have a concerted effort as a community, I think, to grow participation and have informed citizens. You know, and then I guess if we don't go that path, there's other options like our neighbors in Framingham chose that maybe you're still a voter, but you don't have to be as engaged. But right now, that's what we have, and we should be working to improve it. So I know many of the members of the Board of Selectmen make themselves available to the public, and I've been very fortunate to been able to meet with some of the members with community concerns and with personal concerns still related to the community. And the Board of Selectmen members commented that they're available to such events as the farmers market, and they'll answer their phone calls from the public. And I believe those are all true. My reasons specifically for requesting to implement a more official process, well, if you're at the farmers market and someone's working or they're with their family, you have to choose if you want to interrupt them. And the farmers market isn't all year round as well. I think another big issue is that if a conversation's with an individual board member, you don't have a way to get feedback if the board is handling it, if they agree, if they don't agree, if there's going to be some action. And I found that to be a major, basically, pitfall of any system we do have right now. There can be concerns that people don't want to they wouldn't be productive to introduce right now here. I think, I know a lot of people that just wouldn't come to speak publicly. They would, a forum, we've had, there's members of the Board of Selectmen and town manager have come to my neighborhood, and we met at the police station, and I think that's a different situation than it just seems less maybe formal. I don't know, but I'm sure you've heard it as well, people that wouldn't come up here to speak. So how are they gonna connect with us? I guess another one that I really don't want to say like maybe poking someone, but I've seen both elected and appointed officials publicly berate citizens and personal commentary about citizens they disagree with. And I also surprisingly have heard community members kind of do it to another community member who's engaged about something they didn't agree, and they just took it as somebody was against something rather than trying to step back and figure out that they're both people that work for the town and they may not agree. And I believe we're a better community than that, and maybe we don't show it right now. So I think disagreement is part of democracy, and we have to figure out how do we handle that disagreement and have engagement and dialogue. And basically, I'm asking the Board of Selectmen, I think this is a group to regroup and set that example, and that's sort of why I'm here. I think this is the group to provide the leadership and exemplary behavior as well as a process and improve our community. I have a couple of specific suggestions, but I don't want you to take them as the limits of my request at all. They're just a couple things. And one, I think having selectmen's office hours where residents can bring up issues, areas of concern to the member. But I would say to be successful, again, that has to, part of the process would have to be how could a citizen get feedback from the board? And I know that there's issues that wouldn't have maybe completely board agreement, but I think citizens and voters should be able to know how their elected officials stand on these things. If they do or don't support a specific thing, what the Board of Selectmen's positions are, or if there's plans regarding a certain subject. Another suggestion would be neighborhood meetings. Having selectmen schedule a meeting in various neighborhoods to check in. I think this is really important because then we can make sure feedback is broadened. Maybe now people are getting it from the most civically engaged members or their neighbors because they're convenient to talk to, but I think we need to get more people involved, and that's a way to get people that might not formally, an official meeting or something. And so I strongly hope you'll support implementing a process for public engagement. And I'm taking that the very broad, because again, please don't think just those two requests. And I'd just sort of like to hear your thoughts in general on
Right now?
that. Sure.
Well, just briefly, I think it's fair to say we all would like to see more engagement, whether it's collectively or individually. I think all of us are open to, have always been open to engaging with residents, with voters. But I get your point, which is a little bit more intentional in the engagement part. So I think it's an issue that that all elected and appointed boards and committees struggle with. I know at the Mass Municipal Association every year there are sessions on civic engagement. How do you bring people into a conversation? And you're right, Kate, that there's a lot of people are not comfortable coming here on TV in front of a podium and speaking and being comfortable. So, no issue here. I think we need to do work towards that.
Londa?
So I agree with Steve that, first of all, thank you, and I applaud you for coming forward and bringing this. I think it is important. We are having that conversation. How can we increase engagement? It's a conversation we have after every town meeting, as we lead into town meeting. I do think we can do better, and we will try. I think some of your ideas are good. As you said, there's other ways to do it. The one thing we do have to be a little careful of is, you're looking for more broader feedback from the whole board when you're speaking with one selectman. If you have more than 2 selectmen in the meeting, it's very hard, because if we do then all agree on something, there's the potential for a conflict of interest or open meeting law violations that we're very much aware of right now. So having that one-on-one conversation is a little bit easier. Having one selectman come to a neighborhood meeting and talk to people and hear the feedback and then get it back to other members.
So how would be the way, though, to get, because I mean, I've had, I could say there's some personal town issues, but I
Right.
don't, that I have unsatisfactorily gotten any town feedback. And so
Okay.
that is, I am not here just for personal issues, but that I have found a hole because I don't know how to get that engagement
Right.
from the board.
Mhm.
So I assume there has to be a way to solve that, and I assume it may have to be, I collected these issues, some of them may be simple, and 1 or 2 people can solve them, and some of them may have to be put on an agenda, I
Right,
guess, because they
right.
have to be public, and I don't think in a democracy you can't be hiding things.
Right.
I get that that's a layer of difficulty, but I don't think that means things have to be hidden or not discussed or not.
I'm not saying,
No,
definitely, yeah.
I didn't say that. I
Right.
get to try to manage that, but I think if we skip that step, we're not fixing at least one problem that I've specifically seen.
Kate, can I, just so, are you thinking, just kind of thinking about what you're saying a bit here, are you just maybe some sort of just selectmen's meeting that's unstructured and is just maybe at a neighborhood or a different site where people just come in and talk to the whole board about their concerns in kind of a more informal setting, as opposed to it'd still be it'd have to be a posted meeting, but is that the kind of thing you're thinking about, or maybe?
I think all of the above. I think I know that Michael Herbert and Yolanda and Joe, and I think people were satisfied that they got heard. Now, I think some of those things have not been addressed from that meeting, so if you come to my neighborhood again, you're going to hear them, I assume. But we felt heard, so that's a good starting point.
So
And I would assume that you
maybe a
would want to
subset
know
of the board.
about.
Yeah. Well, it does sound. I am interested in what you're suggesting as maybe a more of a structured thing, where maybe a subset of the board we do scheduled,
Yeah.
as opposed to people just kind of doing it on themselves informally. Maybe we set up something that's a little more scheduled, with certain people would go to a meeting in a certain place or something. And then maybe we do forums. I mean, Michael, the town manager, does forums, but as far as I know, the selectmen don't do kind of open forums for things. And we could, consider that, how that might fit in the schedule, maybe on a quarterly basis or something like that. Is it your feeling that people are not communicating with us but would communicate more in these kind of settings? Is that what?
I would be shocked if they didn't, and I think you could show the police station from my neighborhood that we filled that, and I did not work hard to fill that room.
Mhm.
Well, we've done that, not as a board, but Michael and I have done that 6 or 7 times at different neighborhoods. Sometimes for general discussion, sometimes for specific discussions. And you're right, that more people do turn out, people feel more relaxed having that kind of a discussion. But to Yolanda's point, if we do it as a board, we can't do it as a board unless we post the meeting. So we had spoken at one point, I have always thought that citizens' participation was a vital part of this meeting. And sometimes it's more vital than others, let me just say that. But it should be, and it shouldn't be something that's intimidating for people. So we had talked about, sometimes when we have 5 weeks in a month or something, having an extra meeting and having it just be citizens' participation. But that only speaks to part of what you're talking about. You're still in this setting. You're just not rushed, and it still maybe have a level of intimidation. But I don't think that you get, at least not from me, and I don't think from any of the other board members, that thorough and open discussion is the best way to build a community. So, yep.
If I may, Kate, I'd just like to give a quick response to that meeting that we did have at the substation with the many issues that were brought up. I can tell you that there were several conversations by myself, Michael, and Yolanda to certain individuals who those questions needed to be addressed to. Now, we can only advise those people what the issues are. They're the ones that need to go out there and do what they need to do, because that's what they get paid to do. If nothing was answered, then I would have, at least would have requested or some sort of feedback from you folks saying, we never heard back from so-and-so or whatever. That would have been helpful, because we would have definitely asked why. Because that would have been the next question. Why haven't they? Why haven't they heard back? We brought the information to you folks. You were expected to respond, and we haven't heard back. They haven't heard back. So, I mean, it's a two-way street sometimes. You provide us all the information. We go to the people that need to be addressed. It's addressed. We expect it to happen. And if it doesn't, then we need to hear back from the citizens that brought the information to us originally. So, I mean, I've known you for a number of years, and you know that things change over a span of time. People change, dynamics change, styles of individuals that work for the town change. I think that's the best way of putting it. So we can't control the style, unfortunately, but we know people that can. So, but
Just know that change at the municipal level happens slowly. And I think that it has started. I'm an impatient person, so it doesn't happen as quickly as I would like. I don't think it happens as quickly as all of us would like. But I like to think that we are all looking in the same direction. We didn't just write these words down because we didn't have anything else to do. I think that we are trying to row in the same direction. It's just that sometimes, even amongst the board, we have different approaches of what's the best way to approach that, if that makes any sense.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
thank you,
Thank
Kate.
you.
Appreciate it.
Can I just add one thing? I think I think this is worth an agenda item just to kind of further this discussion if there's something we want to put in that's structured or semi-structured. I think these community meetings are good, and I'm thankful that people went to them, but I think they ought to be a little more kind of structured in terms of we're doing this one and we're reporting back, maybe if only 2 selectmen are there. I just think people doing stuff on their own, I think we should try to, that's been a good model, but we should try to kind of institutionalize it or, systematize it a little bit, that we're on a quarterly basis doing something somewhere. I mean, so I think this is certainly worth an agenda item in a future meeting to kind of flesh this out a little bit. That would be my request for that.
Okay, Dr. Feelgood. And before you start, Mark, we do have to get going. So I know that you're here all night, so why don't you say what you want to say, and if it has to go on further, we'll bring you back later on, if that's okay. Because we're running about 20 minutes late already.
Seeing how that is being compromised in the way that you put forth, I can go like that too. As I usually start off. Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy New Year, 2018. Let's hope the old one does not end like the new one. And the new one continues on a good, positive, go forward way of doing things. What Kate was saying, I agree a little bit, but I know there's certain styles that you gotta have to do these things with, but I'm not gonna go off with that. First of all, to Mr. Town Manager. You getting tired of me being on Facebook yet?
No, I always appreciate your messages, Mark.
And did you get the mass emergency one I put up there?
No, I usually won't check it until later at night, but
I did give you that mass emergency that was on their public site, you can add the private message over on your Facebook and it's there. Because it's hibernation period for me. My dad is getting real sick of my face and he doesn't care either way. He just watches questions, just lays back and just naps and goes on. I'm here to say I'm ending the 2017 away from how I was. I am being now more positive, a more outlook. I'm having the above unseen Almighty and God archangels giving belief, caring, and nurturing and positiveness to my life. To say, if people can't come out themselves and find positive in people, don't try to put negatives in front of yourself. That's part one. Part two.
Okay, how long is part two?
Part two.
First
will
of all,
be
thank
quick-
you for that.
Will be quicker because I know you got people out there that's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna be busy, starting early this morning,
Yep.
probably throughout the day,
Yep.
tomorrow, and the police,
We don't want to keep them here
Okay,
too
so
long.
Yeah.
part two.
DPW.
Go.
I don't appreciate rush. That's why my
Well,
nickname is
unfortunately,
Turtle. That's why my nickname is Turtle. Slow and to the point and always goes good. There's been nothing said about the snow until after 5 o'clock. Check in on the elderly, check in on everybody, check in on the pets, be careful. And all for 2018, no matter what's going on at present times, happy, healthy, and for the frail to get stronger, and for everybody else to be good to each other, and to be patient, and to be positive. Negative does nobody any good. Positive always is a great effort that gets that glow going.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Feelgood, a true Dr. Feelgood tonight.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, let's see, the first of our scheduled hearings and appearances is the presentation of a Distinguished Budget Award from the Government Finance Officers Association for the fiscal year 2018 budget. Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I want to say since 2013, we've really tried to make a concerted effort in increasing the information and transparency of our budgetary process and our budget itself. And it's, there's certain ways that you can measure that, but really I think probably the most objective and really the standard that everybody tries to achieve is what's known as the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association. And to that end, I'm pleased to say that we were awarded that this year, and we actually have Ms. Cheryl Strother, from the president of the Massachusetts Government Finance Officers Association, here to actually present us the award and tell us a little bit about the what the award means and what it signifies. So, Cheryl, I don't know if you want to come up to the podium.
So as you said, my name is Cheryl Strother. I'm the current president of the MGFOA, Mass Government Finance Officers. I'm honored to be here today on behalf of the Government Finance Officers Association to present the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award to the town of Ashland. The Distinguished Budget Presentation Award has been promoting the preparation of high-quality budget documents since 1984. The purpose of the program is to encourage and assist governments to prepare excellent budget documents for the benefits of citizens and other parties with a vital interest in a government's finances. During the 34 years the program has operated, it has gained widespread recognition as the premier indicator of excellence in governmental budget reporting. To earn the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, the town of Ashland had to substantially conform to the program's demanding criteria. Such a record reflects the professionalism and commitment of numerous individuals, as well as many, many hours of hard work. This is the second time that the town of Ashland has won this award, and this award is for the period beginning July 1st, 2017. The Government Finance Officers Association hopes this award to the town of Ashland will serve as an example and encourage others to strive for the same high standards in their own budget documents. Therefore, it is my privilege on behalf of the Government Finance Officers Association to to present to the town of Ashland this Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just before Brittany and I can get up there, probably do a nice picture, but I think, really, it's something that's important to all of us as town management and town administration, but really, the person who deserves the credit for putting this together is Brittany. The document has grown itself from a couple page document with just simple line items to now it's literally over 400 pages. Anything you could want to know about the town of Ashland's financial policies, financial history, financial objectives is outlined in a pretty clearly easy to read format for 400 pages. So I know Mark has an affinity for budgets, reading budget documents, and I think a lot of the other people in the community do as well. So I believe there's a nice certificate that we have here. Brittany.
Michael?
Hold on.
Got to shed a few layers.
That's it, in the middle. And I still got Mark in the picture too, so.
Looking at you admiringly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and congratulations to Michael and Brittany and to everyone else who works on the budget.
Good work, Brittany.
Very nice, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the promotion of Evelyn Morahan to the role of captain of the fire department and waive the 15-day waiting period. Michael?
Yep, so thank you, Mr. Chair. What happens when you promote from within and promote internally, like we did recently with the promotion of Captain Roby to chief, is it has a trickle-down effect, and you have vacancies in other levels and other rankings of the department. So promoting Keith gave us a vacancy in the captain position. We had 4 lieutenants. We offered up the opportunity to apply for the captain position to all 4. I believe Lieutenant Morahan was the only person who did apply for this, and quite frankly, it makes an easy decision easier, I guess you could say. I think Lieutenant Morahan has just been a phenomenal asset to the department, and I'm pleased to promote her to the position of captain. Currently, Lieutenant Morahan is, you know her, not only as a company leader, but also as the creator, founder of the Camp Bailout Program, which is certainly something that is really a positive for the community and positive for the fire service in general, encouraging women to enter into the fire service. She's currently an instructor at the Massachusetts Fire Academy. I think she's been an instructor there for several years now. If you remember last year, she was one of the finalists for the Metro West Athena Award, which is certainly a high honor. And really, I could go on and on about her resume and her accolades, but I think those of you that do know her, and I think most of you do, know that she is a solid choice for this. And I believe Chief Roby is here. I believe he's going to say a few words. Also, there, you're hiding in the back. So.
Yep.
Keith, before you talk, adjust the microphone, because they've been trying to adjust it.
I knew that.
Then we'll really get feedback.
Funny guy.
The
Well, I
Doug
did tell
Small
them that
approach.
keep it very short to give her more time to talk, but,
There you go.
first off, thank you for my appointment. I didn't get to come before you guys. It's been busy, but I thank you all. The captain is very important to the fire department. That's our operations officer, second in command to me. Lynn comes with a lot of education, motivation. I look forward to working with her. She's been on the department now for 24 years, 20 years full-time. She's been a duty officer for the last 10 years, the training officer for the last 4 years. She loves outreach in the community, which is great. We're trying to get this fire safe program back into town. She does a lot with the camp bailout, and I look forward to working with Lynn.
Great.
Cool.
Lynn, do you want to come up and say a few words?
Well, with
this a little bit. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the town manager for having the confidence in me in this position, staying within the organization and not looking outside. I really appreciate it, and I'd appreciate the Board of Selectmen supporting the town manager and the appointment. I'd like to thank the members behind me, friends, co-workers, for showing up tonight and braving the elements out there. It's pretty miserable, as we know. Thanks very much. It's very much appreciated. The position of captain, I think, is going to be, for me, the most challenging to date, but I do look forward to it. I look forward to working alongside the officers, the members of the department, under the guidance and the leadership of Chief Roby. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you, and congratulations to both of you. And thank you all for showing up tonight.
You need a motion?
Yes, I do need a motion to waive the 15-day waiting period, because we definitely want Lynn to start as
Yes.
soon as possible.
I move that we approve the appointment of Lynn Moynihan and waive the 15-day waiting period.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0. Again, congratulations.
Congratulations, Captain. If I may. Very nice. Very
Okay, next up on the agenda is the appointment of Michael Jones to the Town Forest Committee with a term that will expire on 8/31/2018.
Which one?
Mr. Jones, do you want to come to the podium, please? You his sponsor.
I kind of need a sponsor, so that works out. Going to a few of the meetings ahead of time and doing a little bit of work in the forest over the past month or so, I've been able to see what is happening there a little bit. I still undoubtedly have a lot more to learn, but I feel that is a good spot to add to the community, and so that's why I'm trying to set that up.
Great, thanks.
Rob?
Rob St. Germain, 64 Winter Street. This summer I was working at the Corner Spot, and I think the weekend before I had been at the Farmers Market, and a number of people signed up on a list that we started to put together for the town forest, Friends of the Forest. And among those people who signed up was Mike and his wife Jan. And I was working at the Corner Spot, and I was up on a ladder, and I look way up the street, and there's a man and a woman coming down the street picking up trash. No one asked them to do that, they just did it. And that was Mike and Jan. And Mike volunteered and worked several times with me on various forest projects this summer, and he's been a good buddy. And so I'm really happy that he has decided to join us.
Good. Well, thank you, Rob. And thank you, Mike. Anyone have any questions for Mike?
Yeah.
Steve?
So you look, I'm assuming you're relatively new to Ashland?
Yes,
How-
we moved here 8 months ago.
8 months ago, and what brought you to Ashland?
A grandchild in Framingham.
In Framingham, yeah?
And so,
Very good.
that was the reason for the move. And I don't know if you can tell from the accent, we came from Wisconsin. And so climate's, it's even a little warmer here. The mixture of the woods, that's a little different, but not dramatically different from what it was there.
Very good.
Well, it's a beautiful town forest, and we appreciate you stepping forward to be on the
That's great.
committee.
And you're a retired landscape architect, if that's, very
Yes.
good. So
Yeah.
that should be a great match. And, we're happy to have your experience and training.
And I'm sure you'll get pulled into other things. That tends to happen here.
Uh-oh.
All good, though.
So is this Rob have you doing all the heavy lifting now? Is that,
No.
No?
No. We, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Work
anything
together.
I'm good.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and
Congratulations.
congratulations. And don't forget to get sworn in.
I'll
And we have to appoint
We
them
have
first.
to appoint, we have to appoint.
You will need to go to the town clerk's
Yeah.
office and
Yep.
get sworn in.
I move that we appoint Michael Jones to the Town Forest Committee with a term that will expire on 8/31/18. And we
Second.
thank him for his volunteerism.
You second, Joe?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 5-0. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the consent agenda is next. We lost the consent agenda on the screen.
Just gotta wiggle it.
Still lost.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, has everyone had an opportunity to
Yep.
Yep.
review the consent agenda? Any questions, or do you, okay,
Move it forward.
motion to,
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's 5-0.
Yeah.
Okay,
notes on
old
the
and new
charter stuff.
business.
Yes, good notes?
That was good.
Yeah.
So 5A is
Thank you.
the Selectmen's Recognition Project, and Steve, I believe that's
Sure.
you're gonna speak to?
I will. And so you have in your packet some materials with a proposal and then some budgetary information, as well as a PDF of a board that would be part of this project. And so for those out in the audience and listening, this kind of emanated from a conversation that Joe and I had with a group of former selectmen at Honeydew Donuts, probably a couple years ago, it seems like, right?
Just about.
And it was an interesting conversation. It kind of planted a seed, so eventually got around to working on this, and I do need to give a lot of credit to Cliff Wilson and the Historical Society for work in accumulating this material, as well as Town Clerk Tara Ward for her compiling of all of the selectmen since 1846. And so the proposal is pretty straightforward. There's a narrative board similar to the boards that are at Warren Woods, that are at the Seaman board over at the high school. And Carl provided me with the graphic designer that set up this board. And we, working with Cliff Wilson, we came up with a plan to use plaques that would be broken down into groupings of years. So 1846 to 1899, 1900 to 1949, et cetera, up to current times. So the proposal really is for a narrative board and for 4 of these plaque boards to to recognize all of the selectmen that have served in this room. We are links in the chain here. To speak to a link in the chain, Carl's grandfather was served as one of the longest-serving selectmen in Ashland, I believe 13 years. We serve in the Arnold Baker Room. Arnold served here for 30 years. John Ellsworth was, I believe, 17 years. So we've had some, but the narrative board really recognizes the 5 original selectmen, and from 1846. So my request is that you consider funding this and pursuing a project that would get mounted on the back wall. We've got currently 2 very important plaques that I would ask that we just move to another location, only because that section is wider. But those 2 plaques recognize the Citizen of the Year and the Organization of the Year. So I think we could find another home for them in the room. I think it's important that they stay here. But that's my proposal. This here, by the way, is And I think, Carl, you've used all type for the storyboards when you had them built. These are samples of some of the materials that,
Different thicknesses?
yes, yeah, so. And I've got the proposal is broken down by the,
Thanks, Steve, for taking this on. It's
Mm.
looks like a very nice project. It's too bad we couldn't put that on the screen. I think those are,
yeah,
if you look at the
Yeah.
pictures of these founding selectmen, they're really
It's-
quite
it's
a
pretty-
formidable-looking group.
yeah,
Yeah.
very, very
They look
interesting.
happy.
Yeah, interesting farmers.
Must be
This is
something
so-
when you get on
This is
selectmen,
interesting,
yeah.
just,
Yeah.
yeah. This guy on the left looks like a young, he looks like a young.
But I have to give, you know,
This guy looks like Jacob Marley.
Exactly.
We're talking about
This one
Andrew
looks like Bob
Allard.
Cratchit.
Andrew Allard.
Yeah.
But,
Andrew
you know, I
Allard.
have to give a lot of credit to Cliff. We spent a few hours working on this, and also Tara in terms of compiling all of that
Sure.
basic information, so.
So just a couple of questions and then
Sure.
a suggestion. So what would the size of the, was it on there, the
That's a-
placard?
Yes, it's on the, of course, this is printed. I
This is one where I need my
believe it
magnifying glass.
is, oh, God, it's probably the only piece of information I didn't provide here.
So this would be one, the picture with the 5 original and the information would be one thing.
Would be one section, and
Okay,
then
and then there's
the-
4
the-
other plaques that
For the
are,
plaques that would
and are they
get-
similar in size to that? Or
They would be
look-
similar to that, yes.
Okay, good, yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion for a date. It might be rushing it a little bit. Friday, March 16th,
Hmm.
2018.
Ashland's birthday.
Is that right?
Ashland's birthday. It's a
Okay.
Friday evening. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a Friday. I don't know timing-wise if that's
Well,
possible.
the production of this is actually very quick. I think I
Okay.
mentioned in my proposal would just be the ability to invite former
Right,
selectmen
right.
to participate in this, that's all. So,
It's still
you know,
2.5 months away.
I mean, it works for me.
I think it could be.
I think it's a good idea. That's when we're incorporated, it's birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was my mother's birthday too, so that works for me.
I kinda like the April Fool's Day. I think that was a nice touch.
Oh, no, that falls on Easter again, and, oh, did he leave? He did.
Oh, yeah, April's
That's Bill
Fool-
Gatz's
April Fool's
birthday,
Day is
too.
Easter this year.
So,
Determine that.
the funding is gonna come from from where?
Well, I'm recommending from the
Selectmen's gift
the
account.
gift account.
I think that's perfect. For that recognition.
We need a motion for all this?
Yep.
All right.
So just to note, there's 3 different options here that I put down, and the difference really is the type of material that's being used. And then, yeah, it's really just the type of material that's being used. So it's just, and there's slight
So it's
differences.
basically the PVC versus the dye
Yeah.
bond.
And the recommendation
difference.
was really the thicker material. And normally this would be mounted with spacers in the back, so it sits away from the wall, it gives it a little bit more depth. So that was the recommendation from the printer.
So we're looking at the third option now? Though
So
it
I
says-
would suggest if you're prepared to make a recommendation, is to not to exceed number, let's say $3,000.
Okay. I move that we approve the recognition of Ashland Selectmen as presented by Stephen Mitchell with a request to go out and complete it and not to exceed $3,000 in cost.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With the funding, could we amend that
To-
funding?
With the funding to come from our Selectmen gift account.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Yep,
thank you,
yep,
Stephen.
Thank you.
See, Kathy, something good came out of sitting down, having coffee discussion, so these things happen. I wanted to have coffee hours, but no, they'll never work.
I think we should.
Oh, I wanted to do it when I first started,
We can still do that.
6 years ago. I think it'd be a great idea.
You usually do that.
Used to have them daily.
Okay, next on the agenda is the BAA parade permit. Mike,
Yeah, just to bring you up to speed, the last time we talked about this, the board had expressed a little bit of concern about the money that we get from the BAA relative to what the costs are. And subsequent to that meeting, we did have a meeting with the BAA, and this issue was raised. And one of the things that I think would be prudent for us to go back and look at is what our expenses are, for last year, and which we've done, and see if that's really an anomaly or if it's more of a trend. And things have certainly trended higher, but I don't think it's at the point now where we should make a request of the BAA for more funding at this point. I think what we do look at is the 2018 marathon, see if we experience the same thing as we did last year. Last year we did a few catch-up things in terms of road work and things of that nature. But I think we see what happens in 2018. If it is consistent with what happened in 2017, then I think we do need to put together a more formal request, maybe with some other communities, and ask for more money.
Do it right away after the marathon. Look at our expenses as pretty quickly, and get back to them before they're coming back out to us for requesting another permit.
And I would talk to, not Hopkinton, because that's a whole different scenario, but certainly Framingham and Natick.
Yeah. It takes a little while for the cost,
Right, no, I
the
understand,
expenses
but
to
certainly
trade.
not the next week, but
Not
sometime in the
7
summer
months
before they're
later,
coming to
yeah.
us in November looking for their permit again.
Well, what determines what our budget needs are, or what our needs are?
So there's the
And
work.
Is that something that's arbitrary, or is it something that?
So it's work that needs to happen both at an infrastructure level and then the operational costs of the marathon happening. Paying police, paying fire personnel on the day of.
I guess that's my question, though. I mean, how do we know what is enough and what is not enough when it comes to that type of thing? I mean, is there some kind of formula that's used, or is it just?
Well, it's simply looking at what are the expenses that we incur to get ready for the marathon and have the marathon run through our town. And, we could certainly go whole hog, I guess, and, put on every police personnel that we have and every fire personnel and apparatus that we have and decide to redo 135, along the stretch. Of course, that's not prudent, but it's also not prudent to not have any kind of presence on race day and not do any kind of work. So it's kind of that balance in between. What really happens is the departments really talk about what it is that they need, and there's a lot of coordination that happens. Joe, you could certainly speak to that.
without getting into the specifics of the security aspect of it, the BAA holds several meetings with all the towns that go along the route. And because of the incident that took place several years ago, it heightened security, and it hasn't changed. And it'll never go down. It'll always stay at that level from this point on. And if you see the DPW workers that are out there, those pieces of equipment are there for specific reasons. They're not there just for show. They're blocking off the roads. It goes into detail. When we didn't have those bills before, we didn't have these folks before. That's why I brought the question up, because I've saw over the last couple of years, this equipment out there, and it wasn't because they were just putting up cones, this and that, and they were specifically set in certain locations because of those reasons, because of security.
Well, that's what I'm asking, and who is directing that? So is the BAA setting up the guidelines that the towns need?
They have meetings in Boston with the state police, and they go over all the specific parameters. Now, because we're right next door to Hopkinton, we have a heightened sense of security more so. It wouldn't be like Natick or Wellesley in that group where the stretch is a little different, but where we're closer to Hopkinton, and with all the activities that are going on within there, we fall into that category of heightened security.
So we get specific requirements from the BAA and the state police who are managing their security, saying these are the things you need to be doing
Right.
for the security in your town.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that element, and then there's also, some of the things that we do, again, on an infrastructure basis. I think last year, Framingham, spent a lot of their money on 135 and did a lot of work on 135. In 2014, the year after the marathon bombings, if you remember, we actually went and painted the hydrants along the route,
Right.
BAA colors,
Right.
and that was a cost attributed to that. associated
Well, you
with it.
said, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, you said we could go whole hog. Are we going half hog? I mean, where are we on?
You know, I think that really the simplest and the most accurate way of saying it is that we look at what it's going to cost to operate and basically structure things according to that, and our expenses are based on that.
But there are VAA guidelines.
There are some guidelines, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Because it's hard for us to strong arm VAA if we're doing this stuff
Right.
voluntarily.
Oh, no, this all trickles down from the meetings that they have, the security meetings that they have.
Okay.
And without getting into all the specifics, because there's other things that, you know, I like kissing and telling, because there's other things that go on out there. But every officer in the Ashland Police Department is out there that day, whether in uniform or they're in plain clothes. They're out. They're out straight. And the auxiliary, and along with the fire department as well. You know, they're out there with their trucks because they have to have fire services available on the other side of town, because we cut the town in half. And you can't cut across when you have a race going through, so you have to have police presence on the other side as well. So it's a dual purpose. So you have the north side that's covered, then you have to have the south side that's
And
covered.
do
So
we get assistance from towns? that
yes,
this
we have,
race
you have
doesn't
mutual,
go
yes,
through,
right,
on
like
the south side
Holliston,
of-
Holliston and
Town
Sherburne,
would be
right,
Supplemented by
right.
Sherburne
It's
and
mutual aid,
Holliston?
yes.
mutual aid.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so do we need to approve the permit?
Yeah, approve the permit for 2018.
Okay, so we need a motion then.
I move that we approve the BAA parade permit for the Boston Marathon for 2018.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion on this?
Nope.
Okay.
but we will
all in
come back and
favor?
look at these figures
Aye.
later.
Aye.
Aye.
And oppose? That's 5-0.
Good.
So when would be timing that we could expect to look at this? Sometime in the summer?
Yeah, I'd
On
say
the
the
agenda?
summer.
Okay.
Susan, you probably see some of the expenses come through as well, right?
I
That's
do,
in June
and
or July.
just to add on to what Michael said, the expenses, some of them are not annual, some of them are. Certainly, when it comes to the personnel and things, we have a lot of people that volunteer, so they'll provide lunch for those people, or coffee and donuts. So those are ongoing expenses, but sometimes if you have a bad winter, you might have additional potholes and painting and things like that that have to be done. So although last year we spent more, it doesn't mean, like Michael said, looking at 2018, some of the one-time expenses that we had
Won't be there.
may not be there this coming year.
That's good.
Quick question for Susan. How are we doing with our numbers?
All of our numbers are gone, and our donations have started to come in, which is a good thing.
Nice.
We're still working, not everyone has gotten their bios in, so we don't have the website all up and looking pretty, but certainly all the names are
Very good.
listed there, and people can go on and make donations.
And are we still doing the 10 numbers to
To Nord,
Nord?
yes. Yep,
Good.
yeah, so
Nice.
it's all
Yeah,
good.
very good.
Very good. Thank you for doing all that work, by the way.
Okay, next up is town manager reports, and the first thing is the FY19 budget update. Michael?
I just want to give you an update on where we are. You know, we've started putting together and pretty much have finalized revenue estimates. We're starting to get the fixed costs, like our, health insurance budgets and numbers like that put together. Our debt service figures, starting to put the debt schedule together. We'll probably be utilizing level state aid again this year, maybe a slight increase on Chapter 70 based on the increase in enrollment. We're also going to look at reducing our charter school numbers to what the most updated figure is that we have, which was actually lower than the last budgeted number. So it's going to be around 280,000. We're seeing more kids stay in Ashland, which is a good sign, and it's, a testament to our school department. The next step, at least for the operating budget, is, FinCom is going to go through their process of where they're, going to be reviewing some of the budget and budget requests. On January 9th, FinCom will be meeting. We will have, FinCom will have the school department there to provide an overview, and then also the Board of Health. One of the things that the FinCom has decided to do, I think in recent years, is to have the larger departments in annually, and then some of the smaller departments rotate them through, while still getting an update on what the what their budget requests are from myself or Brittany.
Will that be televised?
This January 9th will not be televised.
Okay.
The next one that we will have will be, FinCom will have is January 23rd. That one will be televised here in the Board of Selectmen's meeting room. It was January 16th. They have rescheduled it to the 23rd. At that point, we'll have the police department, the fire department, the DPW, and then also the library this year to present their budgets. Again, it's a little bit awkward because it's, it's like the FinCom is listening to the budget requests from the departments, although it's the town manager that puts forward the budget, to the selectmen that moves forward. So, we'll have a lot of decisions made by that point, but still I think it's good to hear from the departments what their needs are, it gives some visibility to what they're trying to do. Then we're also working on the capital budget. I believe we got a meeting next week with several departments, including the school department, to go through some of the requests. Again, I think I mentioned this before, kind of matching the output of the Collins Center is going to be a tough haul this year based on the agenda that we have, as a team and what we're trying to do. But we're committed to getting it done, and we'll have a capital plan.
And how is the approval of getting on the mass building being tied into our capital, if any, or is that going to be a one-time?
No, that's actually the feasibility study. I can't remember if it was already included in the capital plan. I want to say it was. We did not have the actual construction of the project in the capital plan because it was an 8-year, window, and we were looking at 5 years. Actually, I'm probably going to have Superintendent Adams come to your next meeting just to give you an outline of the process. He's certainly been involved in this for a couple years, knows it in and out. Can probably give a much better overview of the process. So, any questions related to FY19? Again, we'll make sure Brittany puts together a document, like another award-winning document. Excuse me.
We've got to get an MMA award for our budget.
Yeah, unfortunately, MMA kind of biases itself towards mayors. Well, it sounds like Kate, that's kind of the direction. Yeah, So, yeah.
Okay, is that it, Mike?
That's it on FY19.
Okay, the next item is municipal recycling grant.
March 16th.
Yeah. And although this was, the board accepted this grant in the consent agenda, I thought it was worthwhile to talk about. Through the efforts of David Miller at DPW, we were able to secure $120,000 in Mass DEP grant funding for our recycling program. And as you know, we had already factored in and built into the costs of our waste management contract the costs of the barrels of the bins. So what we're actually going to be able to do is utilize that funding to offset our costs, our overall waste management costs. So, we got a certain amount of money for each bin. It was a very competitive program. I think there's $4.9 million that was allocated for this. I think pretty much every community applied. It can be for various reasons, whether you're starting a pay-as-you-throw program or whether you're increasing your recycling program. One of the new things that's come on board now is actually organic waste and how you handle organic waste and digesters and things of that nature are becoming more popular and more popular to fund. But again, it was really through Dave Miller's efforts that we were able to secure this. I mean, very large award. It's one of the larger ones that the community received.
Good job, David.
Did you have to be a green community to participate in this?
You did not have to be a green community as part of this. I believe you've got extra weight.
For being a green community. Yeah. And any idea how much grant money we've derived through our green community status? A guesstimate?
I believe it was 190 for getting the green community status. And then we received two $250,000 grants. One to do the LED streetlights as part of the Amoresco project. And then another to do the boiler, I believe, at the Mendez School.
Yeah.
So those were
The
both
electric
250.
vehicles, right?
Then we've got the electric vehicles.
Right.
the lease payments associated with that,
Right.
which were substantial. So, it's well over $500,000, probably closer to $750,000 so far. And I
Very
think
good.
we became a green community in 2012, so. And we've got some opportunities, maybe for the competitive grant funding this year. That's one of the things that we're talking about with Joe Richardson.
Right.
We've got a couple boiler issues, town hall, and then also, one of the other schools, which would certainly qualify for this.
Right.
Anyway, we can get grant money back to the community.
Yeah.
Taxpayer
It's
dollars
always
return
nice.
back to them.
Yep. Absolutely.
Just so Michael, you said this could offset some of our recycling contract. How,
Bless
does
you.
you or Dave have any recommendations or ideas? Like, how would the average, how would the residents see this in terms of either improved services? I'm thinking about two things. One is, I don't think our electronics is very good. I don't know if Dave has ideas about that. It's expensive when you take something down there.
Right.
And second, China is now not taking the kinds of recycling they used to take, so that's gotta impact the contracts. So I don't know if there's some thoughts about how we can look at our own services or the contract in terms of some of these funds.
Well, I will say, not to get totally off into the weeds, but we will need probably within the next year or two to look at our trash and recycling program overall. And, basically this will just go to offset some of the costs, but we're accumulating a balance in our enterprise fund. Part of that was done so that if, we decided to go in the direction of maybe having bins for regular trash, that we wouldn't necessarily have to pay for those. We would have a balance associated with that. So, or you could look at, potentially reducing fees even more. And so maybe that's one of the things, you could look at a one-time exchange where this 120,000 gets factored when we develop the rates. Right now our rate structure looks like we're generating a little bit of a surplus each year, even after we reduced it a few years ago. So maybe, but that's something that we're definitely gonna have to look at, I think, within a year or two.
Better quality bags?
Well, you just took the words right out of my mouth.
So one of the things that I think one of the options I think we should look at is, so there's a concern if we move to a bin system and abandon the pay-as-you-throw system, that's gonna see our trash rates go up, or recycling rates go down, and therefore the costs associated with it. I think one of the things we could look at doing is providing something like a 64 or 96 gallon cart, maybe raising the trash fee a bit to cover some of the lost revenue from the bags. But if a resident in a home or a household needed to have additional, if they had more trash than what could be accommodated in the bin, they would have to buy the bags at that point. So you've got kind of a hybrid program. So that might be something that we want to look at in the future.
Yeah.
This is not an Ashland issue, but it is a recycling issue, a national issue. There's something troubling for me that we are recycling our stuff and sending it to China to be recycled. I mean, there's gotta be an energy cost, a super energy cost, shipping our recyclable stuff to China to be recycled. I mean,
And I think there's gonna be less of that happening.
well, maybe that's not a bad thing, is I
Right.
guess what I'm saying. Okay, is that it for that?
I did have one thing just related to the storm, the impending storm. So we will be closing municipal buildings tomorrow. I believe the superintendent has canceled school. So we will be closing municipal buildings. Only essential personnel will be in. I believe Doug and the DPW crew are going to start around 3 a.m. today, deploying the people, deploying the personnel. So there's certainly the snow impact, but we're also concerned about winds. We're also concerned about loss of electricity related to those winds. And then subsequent to that, the plunge in temperatures that are happening. So one of the things that people can do to get alerts and updates, and they should probably do this now if they're watching, is go to the Town of Ashland website. You can easily find the Code Red sign up there. Go to Code Red. Input both a landline if you still have it, and then as well as a cell phone line. And then that way you'll get notified of any emergency messages that come through. If you do have an emergency, you should call the fire department or the police department. If it gets to a point where we need to open up a shelter, we will do that. It will most likely be at the high school. They're finalizing those details now. If it's, a family here or there that needs assistance and are out of their home, we would probably not open up a shelter for those specific people, but would find other accommodations to make sure that they're comfortable and safe. And I think that's what I had related to that. Did you have anything related to that, Jen?
Would we
So-
open up the community center for those folks, where it's a smaller building or no?
Probably not, because if we have power loss, they're going to have the same issue.
issues.
And I think, one of the things that we've talked about today is, providing generator power for.
There's generators at the high school, or?
Yeah, and we need to look at other buildings as well
Right.
and putting some
Having
generators in.
generators at other buildings,
Yeah. So, if you are a town of Ashland resident and are planning on coming to town hall tomorrow, unfortunately, we will be closed, so.
Well, the governor already said that if you don't have to come into Boston, don't.
Right.
Because there's no parking availability.
Right.
So,
Oh, no on-street parking.
right.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is a parking ban tonight, I should point out.
That was,
Okay.
okay, that's one less thing I have to put on my thing.
Okay. Anything for you, Joe?
All set, Michael?
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Okay, Mark, I did say that if you had some closing remarks, I would allow you time if we had time. So if you,
Do you have time?
3 minutes. You go an hour. I'm just,
No.
no, we appreciate your positive message.
Oh,
that's right.
By the way, I lose the time pool.
Mark, I didn't even know you were in on this, so.
Oh. Okay, then I'll take it back. Okay, to, town as a whole, so we go prosperous and that government award, yes, there's a positive going forth right there. To the people, homeless people, be safe, smart people, be safe. And to all the others, let's hope this year starts out rough, but becomes good at the very end. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, board reports. Joe, do you want to start?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, just to remind everybody, check your neighbors during the storm, especially if they're elderly. If you have a hydrant near your home or that's close by your home, make sure it's snow-free. God forbid there's ever a need for a fire. There's a fire and you need the hydrant, make sure it stays clean. Bill Gath already talked about the holiday lighting and what a success it was with all the new things that were brought by Beth and many others. I would just like to wish everybody a happy new year. May it be healthy and prosperous for everybody. Most of all, be happy. Life is too short, and over the last couple of weeks, I've lost 4 friends, and it's just like, wow, enough already. Enough. Enjoy what you have. Take each day by as it comes, and live for the day. Live for the day. And it's been a pleasure working with this board for this year, and I look forward for 2018, and with the management team as well. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Joe?
Thank
I
you.
got you.
Yolanda?
I too would like to wish everyone Happy New Year. I have a couple of updates. The first is, so through our community compact, we received a grant to work on a complete streets prioritization plan. And Doug Small and Sheila Page have been working on that with the guidance of Michael. They pulled me in just to sort of have another person involved. And we're looking for citizens who would like to volunteer to attend our first priority setting meeting with the consultants. Through the grant, we got money to hire consultants to help us set our priority plan. And that meeting is gonna be on January 30th. It's a Tuesday night. So if you're interested, you can reach out to me and I'll share it with Doug and Sheila and the rest of the board. You can reach out through my selectman's email address if you'd like to participate. We're looking for a few members to sort of give their input on prioritization for complete streets. I also this morning attended a landline discussion, which is being sponsored by the Metro West Regional Collaborative and MAPC. talking about connecting through the Hopkinton State Park to the Southborough train station and how it ties into the path, the multi-use path that we're looking to do. Last night, I attended the ABA meeting at the library, very informative, talking about some of the new legislation that has been passed and how it's going to affect small business here in the state. I too would like to congratulate everyone involved with the holiday lighting. I was not able to attend, but I did hear lots of good things. And also to everyone involved with the whole event that happened at the Corner Spot and all the Christmas trees. So congrats to Beth Reynolds and everyone involved in that. And just to follow up on Joe's comment in regards to fire hydrants, there's the Adopt a Hydrant program that our fire department sponsors. So if you want to, you can take a picture of yourself shoveling out your hydrant and send that off to the fire department via their Facebook page. And that's it. Happy New Year. Looking forward to 2018.
Yeah, good. So just a couple quick things. I was able or fortunate to attend new Chief Roby's coronation, which was a very nice event, and congratulations again to Chief Roby. And then Joe and I were able to attend the staff recognition lunch held before Christmas. And I just want to make note, I mean, you know, Michael talked about the storm, and, you know, our staff are going to be out there starting at 3 o'clock, whether it's snow plowing or first responders. And, you know, we take so much of this for granted many times with, because it just, the infrastructure of the town just goes on, and we don't always, you know, understand or appreciate how things get done, and until there's an event that happens. So I just want to extend best wishes to all of our employees for the town. Best wishes, and be safe out there tonight.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you, Yolanda. Rob?
I just wanted to wish everybody a happy and healthy new year. I did want to talk a little bit about, I, like probably many other people, prepaid some of my property taxes before December 31st. I don't know how many other people. I was wondering, Michael, if there was a lot of, did the treasurer see a lot of action here?
Yeah, we didn't have an official count, but the amount of people that came in and prepaid was significant, not just in Ashland, but in other towns. And it's kind of interesting because, you know, usually that week in between Christmas and New Year's, staffing is a little bit low. So everybody was facing this issue of how do we deal, you know, with this onslaught of people who are, you know, rightfully trying to, you know, get their property taxes.
I mean, was it, so we're able to, we were able to address people's needs, and
we were able to process them. I think, you know, a concern that is still out there is whether or not, you know, people will be able to deduct those prepayments. I think that's a question that still lingers out at the federal level. You know, DOR had issued some guidance just in terms of, you know, some more of the technical guidance on a local level, but really I think it's more of a federal question whether or not you will actually be able to deduct those.
And so, and the only thing I wanted to add to that is I think, you know, we need to monitor this situation because, you know, basically, you know, it's the Republicans in Congress and the president are saying that, you know, I view it as a devaluation of the work that we do here, and saying that they're going to, of all the things they could have done, that to reduce the deductions for state and local taxes, to put that on the list and make it a priority is really just unbelievable. And that we now, I think in looking forward, need to monitor this situation very carefully because, you know, it could definitely impact what we're doing when we go to people and say, we'd like you to pay taxes for these valuable services. And now, in effect, for many people, these taxes have now increased in cost through the actions of our national government. And so I think I understand that the Committee on Revenue is reviewing this situation, if there's anything that can be done. I'm not sure offhand what we can do, but I think we need to monitor this very carefully. And I'll follow up with our representatives to see what thoughts they may have, because this really could impact what we're trying to do at this level of government. And it's just, you know, it's hopefully something that can get overturned in the next few years, but, you know, I think that's just repugnant thing they've done. And of all their options, this is the one they focused on. So, anyway, so I just wanted, other than that, have a great New Year.
Thank you, Rob, for saying that.
Dr. Feelgood, too.
I haven't been here. I missed the December meeting, and so I haven't been to a Board of Selectmen meeting since before town meeting. So this is a little bit late, but I would like to thank everybody for the work that they did leading up to town meeting, and to the people that came to town meeting, and for the accomplishments that we achieved as a community at town meeting. I think that it was a good example of what we can do when we all work together collaboratively. And maybe you spoke to that issue at the last meeting, but as I said, I wasn't here, and so I want to add my thanks to that, to everyone in the community, that people at town hall, people at town meeting, and everyone that played a part in leading up to that. So, and that's all I have. So, yes.
Before you make a motion to adjourn?
I'm not making an emotion.
No, I said before we do that, I would just like to thank the DPW. My wife and I traveled to Medway. To get to Medway, we had to drive through a couple of towns. And I can tell you that Ashland's roads were clear. There was nothing on them. We hit the town line, and it was like nobody did anything. And the speed went down from 25 to 15. And we're still sliding all over the roads just to get to Medway. It was horrible. So kudos to the DPW workers, because they're out there, and you know.
It was on Christmas this year.
It was.
Yeah.
Christmas.
And I have to tell you, you know, this is the time of year when people start worrying about the DPW. You don't worry about the DPW in the summertime. You know, when we have beautiful weather and you're complaining about this, that, and everything else. But when they're out there and there's nobody else out there, they're out there plowing and making sure and maintaining the sidewalks, parking lots, for municipal parking lots, schools. So they're doing an awful lot. So I just want to give Doug and his crew kudos, because they did a great job and continued success. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We got a couple
Okay,
of-
good night.